the news that has surprised no one, Donald Trump became just the third US president to be impeached. The House of Representatives voted in favour of 2 impeachment articles this afternoon, charging the president with abusing his power along with obstructing Congress. This now means that the matter will move to the Republican majority Senate, where a trial will be held most likely in January to decide whether to remove the 45th president from office.
Article 2 is adopted.
The House of Representatives impeached President Trump on both articles, obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. The president will remain in office. The Senate will decide if he stays or goes during a trial likely in January.
God save the United States of America.
Both parties made their final case during hours of debate before the vote.
The Democrats forgot 2 key things. They forgot about the facts and they forgot about fairness. 4 facts will never change. We have the call transcript, no quid pro quo. We have the 2 guys on the call, excuse me, who've repeatedly said there was no pressure, there was no pushing. We have the fact Ukraine didn't know aid was held up at the time of the phone call, and most importantly, Ukraine took no action, no announcement of investigation to get the aid released. But Democrats don't care. They don't care about the facts, and they sure don't care about the process.
Republicans say this impeachment is setting a dangerous precedent, while Democrats say the president will abuse his power again if left unchecked.
Why do we keep calling this a solemn occasion when you've been wanting to do this ever since the gentleman was elected?
He tried to cheat, he got caught, he confessed, and then he obstructed the investigation into his misconduct.
The president is in Michigan for a rally where he has much to say about impeachment. Earlier, he angrily tweeted, "Such atrocious lies by the radical left do-nothing Democrats. This is an assault on America and an assault on the Republican Party."
All right, joining me now to discuss all of this, James Morrow, opinion editor at the Daily Telegraph and co-host of Sky News Outsiders. James, I've got a grab that I want to play a little bit later on of the president at that rally, and we'll hear exactly his response to this impeachment. How did you assess it today?
Oh, look, I mean, I think this is a really case of much ado about nothing, Peter. I think the Democrats have painted themselves into a huge corner with this impeachment, which isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to get through the Senate. The Senate is not going to remove Donald Trump from office. In fact, they might not even hold much of a trial. It's now to the point where Nancy Pelosi is apparently talking about, well, holding up about sending these articles of impeachment onto the Senate. So they may be even trying to stop this train, which has already left the station. But the thing is, this is just disastrous, not for Donald Trump, but for the Democrats, who have been shown to be absolute partisan players from the word go of the Trump presidency. They have been talking about impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Now they've finally gotten it, but what do they do with it once they're there? They've got 2 articles of impeachment which don't sound, which don't refer to any sort of statutory violations. It's all very much a vibe of the thing, sort of thing. Polls are now trending against impeachment. The economy is strong, and everybody, including the betting markets, are saying this is almost all but guaranteeing Trump a re-election next year.
I thought Nancy Pelosi was smart there for a while, holding back the usual suspects in the Democratic movement who wanted to at least try and impeach the president, because what he has going into this 2020 election race is to get out his vote. And of course, people were angry the last time they went to a general election in the US, and he motivated them by promises of being able to turn their dying towns into areas where kids could get jobs again, where there would be more money in their pocket, where the economy would be America first, in better shape. Now, he's achieved all of that. So there isn't the sort of a stone in their shoe anymore. There isn't a grievance to motivate them out. And the biggest worry I think the Republicans had is how do they get their people fired up like they were fired up 4 years ago? Well, in comes Pelosi, in come the Democrats, and they've given the president exactly what he desperately needs, and that's a motivation for his troops.
I know, and I mean, isn't this just an amazing thing? I actually think Nancy Pelosi, I do kind of feel sorry for her on all of this. She's no political dummy. She's a very smart, tactical player. But, you know, a year or 2 ago, she really just lost control of her caucus, the Democratic caucus, to this far left, you know, AOC style, squad style, just lunatic Jacobin kind of leftist movement within her party. And she couldn't stop it. There was a moment today in the impeachment when the first article was voted in, and you could see her give a sort of a chopping at the throat sort of motion to her Democratic colleagues, saying, "Don't cheer, don't take selfies. This is a solemn occasion because she didn't want this to be turned into more fodder for Trump. And Trump now gets to do something that I think is pretty extraordinary in American history, Peter, and that is he is an incumbent president who gets to run as an outsider because, again, it looks like the establishment is trying to take him down. So he gets to run against the exact same thing this time around as he did last time, but having created 226,000 jobs in just the last month alone.
All right, let's have a listen to him at the rally, because he didn't hide under the table when the impeachment hit the media. He took it head on.
It's so much fun. They want to impeach you. They want to do worse than that. By the way, it doesn't really feel like we're being impeached, do you? The country is doing better than ever before. We did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. And we have tremendous support in the Republican Party like we've never had before. Nobody's ever had this kind of support.
And President Andrew Johnson, he was impeached back in 1868. Of course, there was the impeachment of Clinton. It was very difficult for Clinton to fight the impeachment, James, because it was, of a sexual nature. It made life difficult for the president. This is an impeachment where it's an easy impeachment to fight, because you're right, it's the swamp fighting back against the president, and the president now, in 2020, going after the swamp yet again.
Exactly, and it's very much, the charges are very much vibe of the thing, and what a lot of the swamp thing was trying to do here in the House hearings you heard was basically trying to criminalize foreign policy. They said, oh, Trump undermined American foreign policy. Well, guys, the president makes foreign policy, not all of these intergovernment alphabet agencies. But I want to go back to something really interesting Trump said in that grab you just played. He said, it doesn't feel like we're being impeached. He didn't say it doesn't feel like I'm being impeached. He made it feel like everybody is in on this. And this is the whole Trump thing. He brings his audience, his supporters, his MAGA types, his voters in together and say, all of us, we are in this together against the people out there who want to come for us, make your life miserable, make my life miserable. And so it's a great sort of way of building solidarity, I think, with his electoral troops, as it were.
I tell you what, I know January is the time when certainly politics in this country generally takes a back seat. We all get a bit of a break, but it's going to be an exciting January for tragics like you and me. We'll have Brexit headed for January 31st in the UK. Obviously, the Queen's speech is at the moment. They're going to try and bed down some legislative changes in the Parliament in Britain, and we've got all of this going on in the US, and we get right into those primaries and the big race in 2020. James Morrow, I couldn't think of a better person to share all of this with when we're all back from leave. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, Peter, and Merry Christmas.